guys, welcome to this edition of Scott's podcast series. Today, on this Thursday, we are delighted to have the Senior Vice President of Ticket Sales of the Seattle Storm and Force 10 Sports Management, Kyle Waters, also a former colleague. We've had a lot of former colleagues, a lot of blasts from the past on Scott's podcast series on lately. Kyle, welcome, my friend. So good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So as we start off like every podcast, why don't you kind of like go over your career of you've obviously had two stops at the Seattle Storm, 2-year stop at Purdue University in the athletic department. And why don't we tell the viewers about that?
Yeah. So I'll kind of start where it all began. So I'm from Pleasanton, California. I'm from the Bay Area. Grew up there all the way through high school. Basically went to high school with the same kids I went to preschool with, kind of that sort of deal, small town. Went to college at University of Oregon, studied sports marketing. While I was at Oregon, I spent my sophomore, junior, and senior year working for the Oregon Ducks football team, helping them with recruiting and scouting. Essentially, I would help with the direct mail pieces that went out to the recruits, trying to assist with getting them to come take visits to Oregon, and then I would host them on tours and show them like the campus, and was kind of a helper for the football coaches doing recruiting there for the Ducks. When I graduated from Oregon in June of 2005, within 1 week, I moved up here to Seattle, and I started working for the Seattle Supersonics in the Storm in an inside sales position. It was a minimum wage, $8 an hour at that time, plus commissions, and basically reaching out to Ticketmaster buyers, trying to sell them, season tickets, trying to walk single game buyers up to like season tickets. That's basically my job. Call center, night calls, all of that. I got to a point within a few years, I was a top revenue producer in the WNBA. So by 2008, after doing it for 3 or 4 years, I was the number one sales rep in the WNBA for revenue. And then when the Sonics moved to Oklahoma City, I elected to stay with the Storm and moved into a management role in 2009. With that, I eventually moved up to director of ticket sales. I went away for a couple years to Purdue. For 2 years, I was the general manager of ticket sales for Purdue Athletics for their 5 revenue generating sports. So I did that. And then I missed the Storm, and the Storm brought me back into a vice president role in 2014. And I've been back with the Storm ever since. So that's kind of the quick elevator speech on sort of where I started and where I'm at now.
And I mean, obviously knowing you, I mean, from your Purdue days, mostly with the time when I was my tenure at Illinois, I mean, what do you think going to like an overall culture of like, obviously ticket sales management, and what I had tough was just kind of like managing what are the reps' strength, what gets them to be motivated to achieve their goals. Obviously, the majority of the reps, I think a big problem in the sports business, we don't pay the entry-level reps very much money. How do you motivate? It seems like everyone I've talked to is so motivated to work under you, so many good things to say. I don't think I've ever had a bad thing said about Kyle Waters before. Like, how do you run a culture of just such positivity and good vibes and just like always in it for the reps' interest?
Well, I know to start with that I deeply care about everyone. Like I respect and value everyone. I care a lot about the employees that work for me and work for the Storm. And I do my best to show them that, I don't just view them as a means to an end to accomplish business objectives. For me, the most important end result is the human beings. It is our people, and caring about them, not just as like employees, but also like as a family, like friends. And so with that, I think what I try to do is I try to take a personal interest just in like what our staff cares about. I try to make sure to, provide work-life balance. I deeply care if a sales rep's struggling, whether it be in customer service with an account or trying to hit that, sales goal, to hit that bonus. I try to lock arms with that employee and do my best to show them that I'm on their team. And also I'm not fake about it. Like I really, really deeply care about my teammates. And I think that because people can see through me on that, um, it results in me having really strong performers and really great teams. And also a reason why there hasn't been a lot of bad things said about me, because I'm really trying to be a great teammate with every single person I ever work with here.
Absolutely amazing. And, it made my night when you called me on Friday night as we caught up for a few minutes that obviously you guys are moved into Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, obviously home of the Kraken, the new NHL team, which is on fire. And you guys are just like capitalizing, setting WNBA records and revenue. When you like show me those numbers, I was shocked. I thought, is this like for like an NBA team? And like, sure enough, it's for the Storm. Like, obviously, you have the advantage of having a new arena playing, but with these remarkable goals of like revenue numbers hit and just like engaging with the fan base, which seems the Storm is engaged with Seattle. How has that come into this? Just didn't happen overnight because of a new arena. You've been there so long in your second stint. How does Seattle have so much demand for the Storm?
Yeah, well, I think we're really fortunate because there's just a lot of great people here. Like we have it starts with a great ownership. Like the Seattle Storm has a phenomenal ownership group, great leadership here. But also on top of that, I mean, we have a basketball team that's won 4 championships, plus a Commissioner's Cup this last year. So we got a winner on the court. This brand new arena is really exciting. It's worth the price of admission just to get into the arena. Not to mention how good your seat's going to be in the arena. So I think that's a big thing. And then also, really, the number one reason is the fans. I mean, we have the best fans in Seattle, with the best fans in the WNBA, and like our season ticket holders, they take a personal interest in us, like as employees. They care about our players, they care about our owners, they care about our staff. Like we have this really strong fan base that really values us as people, and has been supporting us big time financially and dropping big money on their season tickets with moving into this new arena. That has a lot to do with it. Also, the word of mouth, referrals. I think a lot of our season ticket holders that are joining on board were referred by friends or coworkers that have had really good experience with us. So it's all that buzz that like our fans have really like made it happen.
For sure. And I love when we talked the other night too, just like when you have a season ticket prospect in to look at seats, how you have like that Disney Universal Studios experience of like putting a hype video on, etc. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think is absolutely amazing and just like pumps a fan so much. How would they not buy after seeing like a hype video of
Yeah.
Universal Studios of like kind of it like it's just like pumping the fan engagement so much and like how you guys executing on that?
Yeah, so we built something. Well, we didn't build it. We partnered with the Pacific Science Center, and they gave us access to what we now call our Champion Center, where we showcase our 4 championship trophies plus the Commissioner's Cup. And then we take our guests through an experience reliving all 4 of our WNBA championships. They go through a hallway, a museum type experience, hearing the audio again of like the final buzzer on those championship calls, seeing things like the jerseys, the shoes, the mask, you know, to remind us of like of what Sue Bird wore when she broke her nose and she came back on the court like a superhero and led us to another championship. You know, kind of bringing all those memories, and then from there we take them to like this movie screen type size big screen video with a hype video of like what it's going to be like in the future at Climate Pledge Arena. And then we have a physical model of the arena there that we do a raising the roof experience with kind of some dramatic music. And it does kind of provide these goosebump type feelings. And it's very high tech. And it does sort of make you feel like you're almost like at Backdraft at Universal Studios. And you're just seeing like, wow, like, you know, fire, explosions, you know, like you just like that sort of wow factor we take people through. And then afterwards, it's like, all right, where do you want to sit? So it's pretty neat. It's different than anything I've ever seen before.
Now, on that front, but when somebody goes through that experience, it's got to be like a 99% buy rate after that. I mean, you just
Yeah.
be so pumped up, right? To just see that. And like, I mean, I give my
Yeah, literally,
right
I think that's literally true. Yeah.
away.
Like I almost want to say it's 100%, but I don't want to forget about somebody. But if it's not 100, it's 99%. Because yeah, basically everybody coming through there is handing over a credit card and signing up for season. And as I shared with you, Scott, like it started out with our VIP courtside members. We had them coming in like every 15, 20 minutes, picking seats. And it took us just about 8 days to sell out all 500 courtside seats that we had.
Wow.
And we had a long waiting list after that, but it has to do with like just, yeah, like everybody coming in was just like, yeah, sign me up.
Amazing. Sports biz folks, take notes on that. Come up with the Universal Studios experience. Hopefully, we'll get a recap video. I love to play it on this podcast that Michael will play if we can get that to make it happen, just to pump everyone up about the Seattle Storm. And obviously, Kyle, it's so great to hear Seattle Storm on fire. Revenue goals. You guys are going to set the WNBA revenue goal and ticket goal for this year, which is quite the accomplishment. Moving into like the sports biz in a nutshell, we're coming off the pandemic. Really, we're still in the pandemic within COVID-19. A lot of like um, not knowing what's going on. Obviously, we're back at capacity, but how have you, over like the last, we've been in the pandemic 2 years now, just about, have you handled the pandemic? It was actually came out of the Pacific Northwest. You guys were like ground zero of the pandemic. What was that like 2 years ago? And how have you guys evolved to where you're just taking names and back to normal and setting revenue goals?
Well, I think, the constant for us has been our strong relationships with our fans, so during this time, while we haven't been able to meet with them as much in person, we've been more intentional to do our best about reaching out with phone calls, doing Zoom meetings, sending email, cell phone text messages, basically using any technology that we can to continue to interact and engage with our fans. While during the times when we were not able to gather, um, on a personal level and a professional level too, I think for me over the last couple years, it's just reminded me that the most important thing is people and people's emotions and our relationships with them and inspiring them and being good friends, being good family members, being good teammates. Because the world's tough, it's scary, it's hard, and we need to be there for each other, to count on each other. And I think that's where sports come into play, because I think sports has been a great mechanism or vehicle to bring people together, to be together all rooting for the same end result, right? Whether that's like your team, winning the scoring touchdown or making that winning bucket at the end, and being connected to thousands of people rooting for the same thing as you. And for me, what inspires me is togetherness, if not just physically, just emotionally, us all feeling like we're taking care of each other, and being good to one of another. And I could go on and on about this, but it kind of goes back to the core of how I treat my staff and employees. I think in the end, what really matters is taking care of each other and taking care of people.
Very well said, Galore. I felt like I was doing a Scott O'Neill 2.0 on that question. I don't know if you listened to his podcast, but he literally said the exact same things you just said about sports, how powerful it is. I mean, Nelson Mandela he was like one of the most motivational guys, saying that sports brings everybody together during hard times, yada, yada, yada. And we can all feel that way during the COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2 years. And like really too, like, I mean, obviously you're like the ultimate mentor for people in the sports biz. I mean, I really consider you one of my mentors through the years of guiding me through working for a Power 5 school, having all the pressure at University of Illinois. Like, what mentors do you look up to, whether it's in the sports biz, out of the sports biz, to like make you just to be that ultimate positive vibe person?
Yeah, there's an army of them. I mean, I think I've got at least 10 of them, at least 10 mentors that all have unique strengths that I've turned to for guidance. I mean, it started out with our director of player development at University of Oregon that I worked for, and he taught me a lot of principles that I still believe in today. You know, like one of the things he taught me was about how perception is reality. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, you know, basically you can only be as successful as people see you to be, you know? And so you got to figure out a way to make other people see what you see in yourself or what you see in your product. Just because, you know, maybe you've got the best of intentions, or like you deeply care about your employees, like maybe that's all in your heart, right? But can they see it? Does your staff know how much you love them? Does your staff know how much you appreciate them? It's not enough just to care. It's not enough just to feel it. If they can't see it, then it's a fail, right? So that comes back to this concept: perception is reality. And so that's one of the things that stuck with me, and I think it's helped me in sales, is trying to, you know, try to like be genuine and sincere so people can see that come through. So he's been one of the best ones. You know, I had an inside sales manager back with the Sonics and Storm. His name is Chad, and his whole thing was work ethic. He's like, you know what? Somebody might be smarter than me, but they're never going to outwork me. And I like that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that. I don't want anybody to outwork me either. So I might not be able to control if somebody's smarter than me, but I can control nobody outworking me. And I use that as kind of a competitive chip. You know, and then, you know, I like the game face training. A lot of us have been through game face, right? You know, the sports ticket sales training. And I like the concept of how do we use what we're providing as a vehicle to deliver results for what you really care about. So let's say what you really care about is quality time with your daughter. That's great. How can I use Seattle Storm basketball as a way for you to spend more quality time with your daughter? Because that's really what it's all about. It's all about you, right? Like that training, get the most important person is you. So making sure that it's all about for me, it's all about all these mentors, all these voices in my head, and trying to like make them proud by applying these principles and these learnings that they've taught me. And I especially like the whole, how do I use what I'm selling as a vehicle to really get you what you really care about, which might just be quality time with your family.
So. Amazing stuff there. Very powerful words said by Kyle Walter, Senior Vice President at Ticket Sales Seattle Storm. Really, last question. I really asked this question for all the sports biz folks I've had on lately is, where do you see ticketing evolving in the future? Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic has pretty much made us go 100% mobile. Do you think NFTs is a potential revenue stream for the future to tie in NFTs with tickets? And just like your overall thoughts of like the ticketing ecosystem between primary and secondary, and how we kind of bridge it and correlate it all together.
Well, I mean, it almost seems like the word ticket maybe should go away, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole concept of having like the physical ticket, I think in the future really is evolving towards digital, and just really just being able to have convenient access. So like, as you know, most people now just have the tickets digitally on their phones, or I guess I should say, instead of ticket, they're barcodes literally on their phones, right? Mm-hmm. And for scanning in. And I think that the NFT thing, yeah, I think there's something there. I'm personally into the sports card collecting, so I understand the concept of hitting parallels and like rare versions, when you can kind of have sort of like a lottery type system. Like you go to a basketball game, and as a benefit of going to the game, it includes a moment or experience that you get to keep forever with you, like in your phone or, you know, virtually, right? And then maybe there's lucky winners that get like the gold cracked ice 1-of-1 version, or, you know, the purple version, of which only 99 fans got out of the 17,000 fans in attendance. I think some of that is really, really, really cool. But yeah, I think it's going to be just more about digital and convenience, and not so much about probably having like the hard tickets anymore, I think.
100%. And elaborate on primary versus secondary. you watched my hot takes over the last 8 months. Obviously, I have strong opinions and strong hot takes of how to run an overall ticketing ecosystem. And it correlates too with the Storm. I mean, the great thing about this too, and I'm not going to give you any more credit, but every like ticket broker I talk to, I love Kyle Waters. He's so easy to deal with. Everyone was like, Kyle Waters, my life would be so much easier. Correlate on like the secondary and primary in your world. Like, how do you see it together? Is it better to work with brokers or consolidator, or just kind of leave them out of the equation?
Yeah. So for me, a lot of it just comes down to like having clear objectives, on like what we're trying to accomplish. And I think that there is absolutely space for people that are interested in just, having an opportunity to resell their tickets in addition to going to all the games. I think it's important even for just like the regular season ticket buyer now. It's like a 19 home game season. Maybe they make like 14, 15 games, but like out of maybe there's 4 or so that they can't make. Maybe they got to go to a wedding, or there's a reason they can't make it to all the games. So being able to resell the tickets on the secondary market, I think, is a benefit that's nice for all season ticket holders, not just somebody that's looking to resell them for profit, but also just to kind of make sure the seats get to put to good use. And then as it relates to the way that we handle the brokers, like for customer service, um, going staying consistent with what I said before, like we care about people. We want to make sure that these people that are buying the tickets for the main purpose of selling for profit, that we have boundaries and we have rules, but ultimately we want to deliver for these people, get them like the best tickets, get the best seats and prices, and stick with the same constant of treating them with respect and valuing them the same as we value our other ticket holders, regardless of how they're planning on using the tickets. Um, if we have somebody that's bought season tickets with us for several years and they happen to buy a larger amount, absolutely, when it's when we're like moving into a new arena, when it's their turn to like pick their seats based on their tenure, we honor their season ticket draft pick appointment time based on it's their turn. We don't put just like the resellers to the back of the line because we're trying to treat them different. Instead, we respect and value everyone, and we just make sure we have good rules and good policies on the front end, and then we just take really good care of everybody, and it's genuine. And then we do our best to communicate with the secondary market folks, the broker reseller type folks, what our rules are, and we let them know it's a fair game. We're not treating you any different than how we're treating anybody else, and I think they like to hear that because back in the old days, I think they used to get sometimes treated different, like, oh, I can't sell you these seats because you're going to be reselling them. Like, we don't do that. On the front end, we're already intentional about what inventory we have. And, if you're going to be using it for you and your daughter to go to games, or if you're going to be using it because you want to sell games and try to make a profit, like either way, it's cool. So just try to kind of keep it easy going over here. And I think that's why probably I think that people appreciated being treated with respect.
Absolutely. I mean, fantastic stuff. And everyone that I talked to on the secondary and been my business has really been on the secondary the last 3-4 years, have nothing but great things to say about Kyle. And if everyone dealt with Kyle Waters in the world, the secondary and primary would flourish together because everyone's winning. There's no losers, there's no war, there's no rivalry, etc. And you just explained it right there. Rewind that segment if you guys want to hear it again. It's very true. And what the primary and secondary, what teams and rights holders really need to do to be on the same page with really ticket resellers, especially. And really, as we end the podcast, any final thoughts, any movements that you're passionate about besides obviously the Storm and so forth that you want to let the viewers know about?
I guess 2 quick things. One, I'll just share, like on the economics of the secondary market, I think it's important to note that a lot of times when those season ticket holders resell their tickets, they sell them for a higher price, than what they paid for them. Mm-hmm. And what I've found from experience is those individual buyers that buy into those seats, they have a really good time. And we've been having those people buy season tickets afterwards.
Wow.
So that's been another positive economic result of having season ticket holders being able to sell their seats on the secondary market from time to time, is when they do sell them at a higher price, and then someone has a great experience and they realize, oh, if I bought season tickets, I could get seats like this and also get them at a better price, because the best seats in the house go to season ticket holders. So that's been a thing. As it relates to just kind of like a mission, I mean, I'm all in with the Seattle Storm on the Storm's core values and mission alignment here. But on a personal level, like big picture, if there's one thing to take away from this call and this meeting, it's just be nice to each other. Like, I think that's the best business strategy of all. Treat people with respect. Try to treat people the way you would want to be treated. Golden rule. And like, some people ask, hey, how did I get to be like #1 in ticket sales? Like, and how have I gotten to where I'm at? My secret, honestly, is just trying to have a really good heart and being really nice to people, because people can see through you. And if you attempt things with good intentions, I think in the end, everything works out.
Fabulous. What a very awesome, motivating pod with Senior Vice President Ticket Sales, Kyle Waters. I will let you say my tagline to end the podcast. As of late, I think we're like 1 for 3. So I'll let you say it if you remember it.
Are we going to keep it lean and clean?
Keep it lean and clean, and stay lean and clean is a new version of it. Well done. We'll say we're 2 for 4 now. Thanks again, Kyle. Stay in touch, my friend. It was great talking with you, and we will talk with you again soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. Appreciate it.